Ataraxy conversations beginning with the knowledge.
That's just the way I synchronize shit. That wasn't to shut y'all niggas up though.
Good evening.
Worked. Oh man. Alright. What day are we? Monday?
Monday.
We're the Monday before Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which is
Before
where we
school
start.
starts. School starts on Monday.
Yeah, we start school
Tomorrow's
Wednesday.
tomorrow's the orientation. I'm going to go. Well, I kind of have to because I have an expo for the yoga club, but I'm going to get like 8 free shirts.
There's a yoga club?
Yeah.
Of course it's a
Sign
yoga
me
club. Is there a meditation club?
It's the same club. Yoga
Sign
slash
me up.
meditation.
There's not a lot of
You could just show up.
I'm going to show up.
Did you just sign up like this year?
Last year. Because remember
That's
I told you to come like every Tuesday, Thursday, right?
Yeah, you did, and
You're
I
like,
never
"No, I
did.
got
Oh my
class."
god, dog, please come here.
Dog.
Oh my god, get in the frame, get in the frame. Oh my god, it's a dog.
That's Strut. Oh, God.
Oh, they just, okay, that's who the masters are. Taking them niggas was wolves, and then they just kind of just,
Here they
like,
are now.
they kind of just lost their
Domesticated
clout.
them.
Yeah.
Do you know why we didn't, or how it happened? I heard that it's because we would feed them in exchange for like they would protect us if there was any like predators.
And then you just lost the need to, the want to kill people.
Yeah,
just
because we provided them with the food, so.
But, like, wolves still have their own, like, distinct personality and, like,
Yeah,
traits.
and
like,
they're
separate
very
from, like,
different
dogs.
from dogs.
That's what I'm saying. So it's
Aren't
really
they,
weird.
like, endangered?
Wolves?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
I heard some shit.
I don't know.
Well, I heard some shit about some countries killing like
Bro,
a certain amount of
what
wolves
species
every
is
year.
not endangered at this point?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, kind of facts. It's kind of
Yeah.
facts.
it's all their fault.
The bees, man.
All the bees.
It's kind of facts.
Yeah.
Bro, Paul Check. I don't know if you know who Paul Check is. No. He's
Nobody-
saying in one of
Bro,
the
Paul
podcasts,
Check is so underrated.
he's like the wisest person in the world, I
Okay.
think. But he's saying that like, well, he's clairvoyant. So he's like, yeah, my spirit was talking to the bees, like the bees, spirit of the bees, and he was
Yeah.
saying like, we can't function with all this like 5G, all this radiation, like it fucks up our. Like we don't know where to go. It's all fucked.
Yeah.
So they're just, yeah.
No,
It's
that's
bad.
true because we put so many like waves into the air and we don't realize how it fucks up everything that's already there before.
Because we can't see it.
Yeah, that's
And then
the
the only
thing.
people that know about it are the people who are doing it because they have the expertise.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they know the most about it. So they're just like, hey, they don't know what's going on. They can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
So let's just not
Doesn't
say
even
anything.
like fuck up the migration patterns of like butterflies and shit like
Yeah.
that too, and like all sorts of animals who like use that. It's wild.
That
Same with
shit-
5G. That shit's
Yeah,
scary.
5G is terrible.
Also, it looks like shit too. That shit doesn't even work well. That's a
doesn't work
whole-
well?
It doesn't work well, no, because like the way it works is that you have to be where the podium is, where they have it set up, because the radius of
Oh,
it
yeah,
is
it's
so
yeah,
small.
isn't it?
Right?
Yeah, that's why there's a million of them being
Yeah,
installed.
so
like,
even
next
like
to
a
each other.
building, like a tree will destruct the line, and so you lose your 5G, and that like
Jeez.
speed is gone. Yeah, so
Yeah.
in order for it to be super efficient, they have to have one literally at every single block and every turn. So if you're obstructed by one, the other one connects to you. But like,
Yeah, because
Trash.
the frequency is so fast.
yeah,
Because it's short, that means the range is also short,
That's
so
the
it can't
thing.
travel as fast.
but like, do we need that?
We actually don't. I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying like it's mostly just for data mining purposes, like because we're connected to 5G, you're connected to 5G, we're on the same network. AliExpress can mine the data off your phone through mine because we're connected to the same network, and then through
Oh.
that we can target certain ads and all that shit.
So we're always exposed.
yeah.
We're always being watched and exposed.
And
Yeah.
it's like terrible for ourselves because it's chronic, right? So like
Mhm.
every single moment of the day we're being exposed to it. Like if our phone's right here on our skin, that's radiating
Yeah.
our cells, and it opens up the calcium channels to the point where it's too much. Like calcium is good for you to a certain
Mhm.
extent, but it opens up the cells so much that your body can't fight back, so it just becomes like malfunction.
That's like, you know when your
like,
parents
it's
tell you like
good.
not to watch the microwave?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
or
it's
get too
fucking,
close to
it's
it.
fucking
Yeah.
waves, nigga.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know if that's true, but I heard I think from my science teacher, he might have been bullshitting because it's high school and they kind of sometimes say whatever they want.
Curriculum.
He said some shit about the invention of microwaves. It was like during wars or some shit, like while they were trying to figure out radio communication, like through like walkies, and they were trying to communicate from one radio to another, and then someone walked between them and just started caught on fire.
Fuck.
That person just walked. That person
person
just
caught on
walked
fire?
between like the two radios that they were communicating in, and they just caught on fire.
The
and they were like,
person?
yeah, the person who walked between it.
Like okay.
And then that's from what they started like using those waves. Like it was completely an accident. They're just like, oh shit, it like generates heat. Okay, let's just put it in a box, and then now you don't have to cook food anymore. I don't know if it's real. I could probably look it up.
I think. Oh, I don't know if that
Story. Yeah.
that story is real, but it's like if you can't see it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Like it's,
That's the issue, right? And it's so easy to ignore things you can't see
Yeah.
or like you don't have to deal with.
Yeah,
and that's how like chemotherapy works. It's radiation therapy.
Yeah.
yeah, that's so sketch. It's just like the same thing that like kills some people can heal some.
Yeah.
Cause like,
Well, it's just vibration, right? It's a frequency that we're.
how does it work? Do they just like send the radiation to the cell itself to the point where it kills it, like it dies out, or is
I'm
it?
not sure. I think it sends it to the entire. I'm not even sure. I don't know enough.
Yeah, me too. But I'm pretty sure it's like it's not. You can't just target the cancer cells.
Yeah.
So that's why they have so many like bad like side effects too, and like other effects that come with it, and
Yeah.
health risks, whatever.
Yeah, because they lose hair.
exactly, and
They
their whole immune system.
And I
ends up
think
being
it's not even the
fucked.
radiation that makes you lose the hair. I think it's the pills that you take to suppress like other side effects
That's
that
the
make you
thing.
lose it.
That's the thing with cancer treatment. You're not really like necessarily treating the like cancer. You're kind of just saying like, let's kill everything we can and like pray to God it kills the cancer too. So their immune system gets really fucked.
so
Yeah,
fucked.
the pills just deal with the symptoms. So it's
So
like,
fucked.
yeah, it's really fucked
Jeez.
up.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that ties in with so this guy I've been listening to, getting into his shit. Now I want to buy his book. His name is Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
He's like a doctor in a way.
He is a
Yeah,
doctor.
he is
In a
definitely.
way.
Joe Dispenza.
Actually, yeah, he is a doctor.
In a
it's
way.
usually they just add doctor to niggas' names sometimes for no reason.
Okay.
But anyways,
Only one.
I heard some shit about how he got into an accident and he had some shit with like paralyzed legs or something, and they said he wouldn't walk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's what he said. And then basically it was like there's no like point of return. Like you're stuck without being like without your legs. You're fucked. Like you're fucked.
No chance of healing.
No chance of healing. And then he kind of like, I mean, at first he was depressed as shit, but then he started getting into like the weird like,
Woo woo.
yeah, and like into the woo woo like visualize yourself healing, like get into the visualize yourself like have him at like meditations every morning where he would like imagine himself in a state where he has his legs back. He would imagine like the 3D version of like his legs fixing themselves, like all the
shit.
cells and shit. Probably did research to figure out better like what
Methods.
the parts look like so that he could imagine them better
Mm-hmm.
and shit like that. And then just now he walks like through
Oh,
that,
shit.
healed himself, and he talks about how he's had people go into this program like deaf or blind or with cancer come out like seeing,
Healed,
hearing,
yeah.
and treated.
Wild.
And basically his whole practice is the shit we can't see, like quantum
Yeah.
realm neurology and all of that shit. Like that's all he, after that happened to him, he like got into it, and then he's been doing research into it ever since. So like neurology and quantum and like a bunch of other weird shit that's like kind of low key, but that probably could be very, very like
Science is finally catching up to it. Like people have been knowing this in
Yeah.
the 90s, but people are like, oh, you're fucking crazy.
That's the thing, right?
What are we
yeah,
talking about?
it's basically
But
the
it-
same shit we talk about like with like the mind stuff, but he's bringing science into it. Because he's
we
like
can
that's
actually grab the chemical this, chemical that,
Yeah.
does this to the heart, blah blah blah, sends
because
it to the brain.
his
Neurons.
premise is like science is the language of the modern times, so you need
Right,
to
religion doesn't work anymore.
yeah, so people need something to like, they need to believe it, right? And
Yeah.
science is what people, that's like the religion, that's the current like Western religion in science.
That's the thing.
So that's how he's trying to communicate those things.
But that also like it makes a lot of sense though, because subconsciously we don't realize that like everything your body is doing, your brain is controlling, and just because you're not thinking it doesn't mean it's not
Yeah.
happening. So to like visualize it and like manifest it and meditate on it, you're just doing what your brain already naturally
Yeah.
has the ability to do, but now you're actually consciously thinking about it.
You're like
You know what
you're
I mean?
actually manifesting it.
Exactly. So I completely see why that would work.
Yeah.
But I can also see why people are so skeptical of anything that like
Because it's different than
Exactly.
what they've
And
heard
that's
about.
why
in their
it'll
own
never
life.
work for them.
exactly, because you have to actually believe in it. You can't just
That's
do it.
kind of
You know
like
what I
the
mean?
paradox, right? It's like you're skeptical, but you try, if you try it while being skeptical, it's not gonna work. So to try it, you need to be like, okay, there's a possibility that this might work, and that's why a lot of people who he's worked with have been people who had nothing to lose. They've tried everything.
They're
Yeah.
to the
Nothing's
point
healing
where
them.
like they're gonna die.
They're
so.
Exactly.
desperate.
Yeah,
Like
they
they're
believe in
desperate. So they're
anything.
like, I will believe anything anyone tells me that will
Yeah.
fix me. And then from that, like, so basically his whole like argument is that like mind controls matter.
Mhm.
So
And the
what
field-
you do every day, like your current personal reality is your personality is actually a mirror of your current personal reality. Is what creates your current personal reality.
Well, that tripped me
So
out.
so the shit that
Don't
you
even bring
are
up mirrors.
the place that you're in now is a byproduct of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
If you want to if you want to be somewhere else, become a different, like if you want to manifest a different reality, you need to become a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the matter to arise because it's not the way it works. That's none of your business.
That's really interesting.
It's
So
your work is to like reverse engineer that almost,
Mhm.
where you take. There's this thing called the field, the quantum field,
Okay.
where possibilities, all the possibilities exist, and we can access that through our minds.
Mhm.
So if we can use our minds to like have faith and just believe in that and put that out into the world, into matter,
Mhm.
then that's the way we can heal ourselves.
Yeah. Shit.
And there's, yeah,
Do you know who like Franz Kafka is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, so like I don't know, because he mentioned almost like you are like mind over matter. You are the creator of your own situation, right? And like the system you put yourself in. And so Kafkaesque is like the term they use to describe like soliloquial, like the routine of
Cyclical.
that's the word. The routine we like put ourselves in, and then the problems that arise from our own making. Do you know what I mean? So it's like. It's kind of like the snake eating itself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You put yourself in this like routine of like the only problems you're facing and what you're arised by are it's the creation of your own being.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So like the only way to break out of
Yeah.
that is to break out of the routine you set for yourself, right? It's like so
That's
he wrote
so
a
hard.
right. So
Shit
he
is so
wrote
fucking hard.
he wrote a short story about Poseidon, and so how Poseidon, who's supposed to be like the king of the sea and the world, whatever, like the underwater, is stuck not exploring his own kingdom because every single day he's doing all the paperwork that he has to do to like run his own kingdom. But the thing is, he could easily have his servants or the people who work under him do that paperwork for him. It's
Yeah.
not that hard.
It's menial work.
But he's
right?
doing it.
But he's doing it because he thinks no one else can do it right and no one else is
Yeah.
going to do it properly. So instead of breaking himself out of that own cycle, that situation, the problem that he created for himself, he's stuck not exploring his own kingdom and being the king.
Became a victim to his own program.
Exactly.
To his own routine.
Exactly. And that even like falls in with the people who
funny.
won't allow themselves to fall out of like their own beliefs, saying that like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't manifest that energy
Yeah.
myself. No,
And
that's
it's-
nonsense.
It's like the shit that a lot of people told us as soon as we tell them we fasted for like 63 hours. Like the first thing they say is like, I could never do that.
yeah. Yeah.
Everybody can do that. You can go with humans can go without food for weeks.
Yeah. It's all psychological. Yeah.
It's the main thing, and just because they probably believe that they can't is probably why they wouldn't be able to.
And
It's
they
probably
never
why
will
if they
try
try it, they
Mhm.
like it'll probably have bad actual like real effects on them because they believe that
Right.
it can't.
It's a
Mhm.
nocebo.
Like we did it thinking like we've seen people talk about it, we've seen people do it, and we're also kind of like weirdos in a way that we
And
actually
know-
kind of
we know
believe
the
in this
science
shit.
behind it too.
Yeah, that too. And we also kind of like we're pretty open-minded,
Yeah.
I think. So we're just like, yo, like fuck it, let's try it out. And then yeah, we did it. But I've heard people go 11 days
Holy shit.
on
yeah.
just
There's
water
a-
fast.
Fucking, I forgot the guy's name. I think he was on Paul Check, but he went 10 days
Oh
in a
fuck.
dark cave. No light, no food, no. He was just meditating.
No
he,
water either?
No, I don't know about that, but he might have had
Yeah, 'cause
water. But
water's
yeah,
kinda
you
sketch.
need
Yeah.
water. Yeah, yeah.
Like-
But and like by the 7th day, he broke free of all his patterns. Like by the 7th day, he was enlightened, quote unquote enlightened, and he didn't want to leave. Like he didn't have the anxiety. Like fuck, I can't wait to be out.
Didn't feel the resistance.
Yeah, none of that.
towards
He
it.
was just grateful. Like fuck, I'm here in this dark cave.
Mhm.
The remaining 3 days, I'm gonna make the most of it because I love being here, doing
shit.
nothing in the dark.
Literally, yeah. Like, okay.
But
Big
breaking out
energy.
of old routine is so fucking hard,
Oh,
bro.
yeah. And like you catch yourself too, like like you have like I'll have moments where like I don't need to do this. I don't need that certain stimulus.
Mhm.
But you
But
still
I'll do it anyways. It's like I have that gap of like, okay, do I really need to do this?
Still fucking do it.
But I'll still do
Yeah.
it because it's so easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But you just have to tell yourself like, you actually don't need it, and you don't need it
That's
at
the
all.
thing.
Just stop right there.
But the issue is too is that like once you build a habit, the part of your brain that deals with it moves, right? So it's no longer like your frontal lobe. It's not something your brain's actively doing.
Yeah, it's
now
subconscious.
exactly. It's completely subconscious. So it's like that's why building habits and breaking habits is
man.
so hard. It's because like you're not actively like you are obviously making that decision, but you're not like fully actively consciously saying,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna go spend 8 hours watching nothing on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? Like
you just
some
kind of on the
nonsense.
7th hour, you're like, oh shit.
Damn, like it's what
I've
time?
been
Yeah,
watching YouTube
exactly.
for all day today.
And you'll be like, oh, I'm on my 6th hour. Might as well just finish the 8.
Exactly. Like once I'm done that,
But it's,
whatever.
it's such a tricky process because like I think a lot of people do that shit, but they'll try to break out of a routine, but they'll be so like harsh on themselves. Like you'll be 4 hours into the YouTube into like the binge watching, realizing that you've been binge watching for 4 hours, and then you kind of shit on yourself for it.
Yeah.
And then from that, just from shitting on yourself, you don't see yourself as worthy of even breaking out of that. So you kind of just keep going.
Yeah.
You feed
But
into
for
it.
the next 4 hours, you just feel like shit doing it.
Exactly.
But the way I think Aubrey Marcus said it in a podcast, like a lot of people will like if you stop at half a donut,
Oh, yeah.
it's still a win
Mm-hmm.
because you realize halfway through the donut that you shouldn't be eating this and you dropped it. But just because you ate half the donut, you're not a piece of shit. Like it's
No.
still better than eating the entire thing.
Exactly.
Like halfway through the binge, like if you realize you're binging and it's like fuck, like you've been binging for that
That's
long.
such a big thing.
Just be
Yeah.
like, okay, it's okay. Like at least you caught yourself on the 4th hour, not the 5th, 6th, 7th,
Exactly.
or 8th, or even more. So you just get out of it and just as soon as you can, because as soon as you shit on yourself, you're gonna. The thing is, it's weird because when you shit on yourself for it, you kind of encourage the behavior itself, and you kind of see yourself as not even worthy of breaking out of it.
Yeah.
At that point, so you just stay there, you know, just like, you're a piece of shit. But then you keep on doing it, but without the pleasure. And it's like any addiction. It's like,
Yeah.
I hate you for fucking getting this crack.
It's like, fuck, I'm high again. Like, I don't want to be here.
Exactly.
That's the
Like
thing.
you're just lighting up and you're like, fuck, piece of shit. You
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Yo, pass that shit.
Fuck. But it's such a long process. Because, like, if you think about it, if you're getting into habits, like, now, you're 19, 20, 21.
Oh, so young.
There's
Bro.
those habits you've been forming for the past 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Like, they're rooted. Like, they're basically you at that point. So, of course, it's going to be fucking difficult.
That's the thing.
And, of course, you're going to, like, fuck up a few times. You're not going to, like, it's not... I mean, I think it's a lifelong game, like becoming who you actually want to be, like, because in a way you're chasing perfection, but you can't really achieve perfection.
No.
But that shouldn't mean that you shouldn't chase it. You should still try to go for it because it's better to be close to it than than to be further away, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a continuous. I mean, the paradox is you'll never reach it.
But I think that's what makes the chase even more rewarding. Is because
Yeah.
like you'll never reach a point where you're done.
Yeah.
Right. You as a human, like with the abilities we have, you'll never reach a point where you're satisfied at the point you are.
Well, you're just done.
Exactly, because then you're gonna lay over and die. Do you know what I mean? So like
Just
you're
depressed.
supposed to have that factor always playing in, that there's always more to be done, and that's the beauty of it. Like you can be 93 and there's still so much learning to do and so
Yeah.
much you haven't grasped, right? But I think oh sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But I think also like going back to your habit thing, we like quick fixes, right? We're overly stimulated to the point where it's like when we want to drop a habit, we don't say, okay, like I'm gonna, instead of finishing this entire donut, I'm gonna have half of it. It's like, no, I'm gonna have a 6-pack tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna never eat sugar again. But like we have to realize that there's steps into that process, right? There was like the documentary on YouTube about the bookstore, like the books, and he made a really good point about people always wanting to read more books but never actually reading more books, right?
Yeah.
And he made a point, it's like you have to set the bar so disgustingly low that like if you don't do it, that's just like pathetic.
It's
Do you
like,
know what I mean?
come on.
Like it's like read one page a day.
Yeah.
One page. That's gonna take you what? Like 2 minutes tops. Do you know what I mean? If you're not gonna reach that, okay, like there's something clearly going
That's
on.
how that's how I built the habit, by the way. Like
Yeah.
you know, I told you it was the first habit I ever built.
Yeah.
Literally, my goal was like, as long as I read just something, even if it's on my phone, like
Exactly,
like
yeah.
an article, someone's caption. As long as I'm aware of it as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, I'm reading, because like I'm doing the conscious effort to do it, and it's not just like something I'm just like scrolling and I'm reading like mindlessly. It would be like 11 p.m. I'm about to go to sleep, and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot. I just pull out a book, read like a page,
Yeah.
close it, and I'm like, cool.
And even
'Cause
that's
then-
rewarding.
Yeah, because your brain's just getting used to it, and then
Mhm.
eventually you'll be reading 30 pages, and you're not even like realizing that you are.
Because then that's when your brain's like moving it, right? So that when you first start reading, it's in your frontal lobe brain. It's like, okay, we have to read this fucking page.
Willpower.
Right, exactly. So you read that one page, you're done. And then once you build that habit, your brain moves it from your frontal lobe to, I'm not a fucking scientist.
Or
I don't know.
outsources it.
It outsources it, right?
Moves
It
it
just
to the back.
fucking, it like files that. You know, in SpongeBob, the file. Anyway, so like that shit gets moved, right?
Throws it in the files.
Exactly. So it's no longer like your brain's not putting as much effort into
Yeah.
you
It doesn't take
reminding
as
you.
much energy.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it becomes like subconscious almost, because like now your brain's like, okay, cool, we're doing. Oh yeah, right, we're doing this again. Do you know what I mean? Same way with picking up your phone a million times a day. Once you break that habit, your brain doesn't even think about it anymore. But until you do that, your brain's being reminded that like, dude, we pick up our phone. Come on now, like you know what I'm saying? And you end up picking up your phone so many times throughout the day, or doing whatever bad habit
It's definitely
you've
the
made.
most like underrated thing. Like people need to understand, like just habits.
Yeah.
Like you're actually, bro. Even like what's it called? Morphic resonance. That's literally the
That's-
premise
that's
of the
all it
book.
is,
It's just
pattern
like the
recognition.
entire like nature itself is just a bunch of habits
Mhm.
that are built up over the years, and then just as soon as one thing happens, its likeliness of happening again is stronger, and it grows exponentially.
Mhm.
Because that's how it works. Like just in a way, I like to think that everything is. I mean, it's not. I like to think like it's an objective fact. Everything is the universe, right? From this water behind us to like us right now, to this conversation, to the mic, to whatever is happening inside our bodies right now. Like everything is just the universe in different form, right? Like inside our bodies right now is the universe in itself. Our brains is the universe in itself. Inside this mic, the amount of fucking electronic
I think there's
shit
more
going
neurons
on.
in the human brain than there are stars
Yeah.
in the known universe.
That's fucking
Some
crazy, right?
shit like that.
So,
Yeah.
so it's like if everything is like the entire universe itself is just a bunch of habits, a bunch of shit that have happened that have brought it to the point that it is now. Like Earth existing is something that is throughout a bunch of steps that the universe took, brought us to the point where we're having this conversation right here. And thinking about it itself and like observing it happen. Like it's just everything. Like the more you think about it, you see like everything is actually just a bunch of habits. So like when you get home, the first shit you do, what you think about all the time. Like if you have low self-esteem, that's just a habit you learn through just
Yeah.
your environment. It's just whoever was around you started telling you that you're a piece of shit and you're not worthy.
Yeah.
And then through hearing that voice over and over again, your brain just started adapting it, and then you started saying it in your head, and then now it's just something that's repeating, that's echoing in your head just normally without you even being conscious of it. And now it became a feeling.
I think there's something really like when we compare like the human brain and the way we operate to nature, there's always one thing that stands out to me though, because it feels like the world and the universe that we see and observe happens almost like innately. Do you know what I mean? Like that animal knows what it has to do because it just knows.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The wind blows because the wind blows.
Yeah.
There's no thought process behind it
It's
by
all
the wind, right?
It's all flowing.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no reflection. There's no questioning of like, okay, why does that animal do that? Why does the
True.
bee go produce honey? Why is the wind blowing?
Right, that's what people say, follow your heart.
Exactly,
Not your mind.
but then when you think about like the human brain, we're capable of figuring that out. Do you know what I mean? So like it's like the analogy of saying that like, what's blowing the sailboat? Is it the wind that's blowing the sail? Is it the sail that's blowing the wind, or is it the man for putting up the sail to allow the wind to blow it? Does that make sense?
Goddamn, nigga.
Right? Because like if you put up, the wind is gonna blow whether the sail is there or not.
Yeah.
The man in the rowboat is rowing the boat, right? But then the man who put up the sail allowed the wind to blow the sail and made his boat move.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I feel like as humans, we have another level of consciousness that we don't necessarily like naturally see or are aware of
Yeah.
in the world.
We've talked about this. What do you think? Like, why us? Like, what do you think happened?
Why our species?
Because we were at a point where we didn't have this ability,
Mm-hmm.
and then we kind of just developed it. There was like a turning point. I mean, according to history and science and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
What do you think happened? Why are we different than dogs and fucking rabbits
Oh my
and birds and shit?
the life question. Why are we fucking humans? I think so that question like tripped me up a lot, like growing up, because like I come from like kind of a religious family where it's like, no, bro, like God made you. And so like
That's it.
That's it.
Period.
You don't question it. It's like God made you. You have to
bro.
listen to God.
No,
But then I
bro.
reached a point. I was like, but how? Like who says who? Like you know what I
You
mean?
started
Like,
to question God.
exactly. But I feel like that dropped me into like a deeper hole of being like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, like who the fuck is my creator? Like why am I here? What's my purpose? And I think beyond all of that, it just shows that the universe has that set out. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why over like the millions of years the Earth is here, there isn't a dog that can stand up and walk and tell me about its day. Do you know what I mean? There isn't a tree that's going to like start building something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason why nothing else in the universe can do what we do. And that gives us like such a deeply ingrained purpose beyond just living and breathing and reproducing. Do you know what I mean? Like Darwin is, you know what I'm saying? So like there's a whole argument like animals are only here because they innately know to breathe, to reproduce, and to hunt, and to survive, right? But we don't come out the womb ready to walk and talk and hunt. Do you know what I mean?
We're pretty weak when we're born.
We're fucking dumb as shit.
Actually,
like,
most animals come out like they're good.
They're ready to go.
They learn all they need to in like a year.
Literally, within 8 weeks, it's walking and it's ready and
And
it's
then
like
babies
strong.
are still like they could be gone like this.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
out of the womb, like they're just still like they still need to be developed. They're not fully ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's very sketch.
Right? So I feel like no matter what you believe in, it's just believing the human ability. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to take the form of a god, doesn't have to take the form of whatever person you want to put power to. At the end of the day, it's innately a human ability that the universe has granted us.
I
Do you know
guess
what I mean?
I guess thinking about a why is kind of a waste of time in a way.
Yeah.
Because you can't really know.
It's knowing what to do with it that's more important.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So-
it just is, right? Like it just is.
And I feel like so humans are such a paradox because we have the ability to think and to question and to learn and to understand, but at the same time we sit and we dwell and we sulk and we're like, why the fuck can we do this, right? And I think that's why religion is such a popular thing throughout times, because it gives
you
us
the
answers. But then I don't know if you guys know Alan Watts. He has like,
Do I know
fucking Alan Watts goes hard in the paint. But like he has a really good quote that I love, and it's like, to hold your breath is to lose your breath. Right? So it's like we chase security and familiarity and answers, but in doing that, you're stripping yourself of any sort of comfort or any sort of human ability that you want and need, right? So it's like to hold your breath is to lose it. You can't hold on to your breath.
Yeah,
So
you have
you're
to let
gonna
it go. You have to let it come and go.
Exactly. So there is no sense. Whoa, write a fucking book, bro. Like, but like, there is no sense of security in this life. You'll never find it, because in search for it, you're gonna like inevitably lose it.
Yeah, it's
Do you
all
know what I mean?
one thick ass unknown. Like, I mean, we're just on a like just from context of where we are here. Like, we don't even know. First of all, we're just building up a bunch of names depending on like from the patterns that we see. We're just in the middle of 8 other planets, 8 other rocks that we call planets.
Yeah.
That are just rotating around this fireball
That formed without our consent.
Yeah,
that shit just fucking
it just
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
It just happened,
It just fucking happened.
and then this place was like a fucking like lava ball, and then just some other rock hit it, and then it just started forming water.
What did he smoke before this?
and then fucking
Oxygen.
Oxygen, straight oxygen.
fucking life started to come out of it, and then it just flowed into what happens now. Like, in a way, it's just like, yeah, I know what you mean. It's just letting go of that unknown, like
And
the
there's
shit
this,
you don't know.
Either Buddhist or Hindu passage where
Oh, guys,
yeah,
it looks
there's
like it's
a-
gonna rain.
feels like it, yeah. But the Buddha was like, he went into his meditation and he spoke to the creator, well, who was actually death and God at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You can't separate the two. But he was like, so how do I fix everything? And he's like, I don't know, but you're God, like you should know everything. And he was like, okay, I'll tell you a secret. I was just here first. I don't know anything else. Like he was just the one that was here first. He didn't make anyone. Like,
Yeah.
and like fuck, you know, like
God is as clueless as we are. I mean, I think if someone asks me like, what do I think is God? Like, it's literally the definition Paul Chek gave. It's like, it's everything. Like, it's everything. Like, this is God, this is God, this is God, this is God, because it's all. If you think of it, God to me is the universe,
Okay.
right? And everything that is in the universe is the universe.
All the outputs from that source must be God.
Yeah, because it's it. Like, we're living in the universe, but
And
the
there's
universe
no one else
also
that could have created it other than source itself.
Yeah. So, like, in a way, like, we're it watching itself being, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, we're the universe observing the universe.
Yeah.
Because we're in it, expanding as it's like we're a byproduct of it, but we're still it. So we kind of created ourselves in a way.
So you're kind of like humanizing God by dehumanizing him. So it's not a person.
Yeah.
It's kind of just us.
It's kind of just like everything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to God right now.
Damn.
And then God is talking to me, and then
No,
and then
trippy thing is,
God
like,
is watching us speak to
Trippy
each
thing
other.
is, I had this understanding of God when I was little through religion of my own, like Hinduism. My dad would be like, "Oh, don't step on this. Don't step over this thing because
the
it
treatment of
itself
things.
is God."
Exactly. Yeah.
You have to respect it. Respect everything in this world because if you don't, like, it's gonna.
Because the creation of God is God itself.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it's watching you all the time, right? If you, that's kind of like what karma is.
It's like it's you watching yourself. Like if you're gonna step over something, that means you don't respect it as much.
Mm-hmm.
That means you somewhere inside of you don't respect yourself enough.
Yeah.
So to accommodate for that, you do this to put something else down.
Yeah, and that's kind of why, like, a lot of people will say everything you do, everything you see in people that you complain about that you don't like is probably just some shit that you've seen in yourself. And you're just kind of just projecting it onto that other person.
Yeah.
Or instead of
demons
dealing with it like with yourself, you're just kind of just like pointing it out, but in other people without like that like negative ego feeling of oh I'm the piece of shit, not that person, like, because that person is you, like that person is directly connected to you, and you judging them is just some shit. Like you can't recognize it if you haven't experienced it yourself.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Like if you need to know it to see it. It, like until like if you don't know what a car is and you see a car driving by, you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Right.
What
So
is that flying fucking thing, metal tube in the sky?
what was that
making
book you were
noise?
reading?
So it's Alan Watts' book. The
Oh, it is.
Yeah, my favorite book. I always like reread it whenever I'm like questioning life.
What's it called?
So it's called the oh my god.
I saw
Oh my
some
God.
shit about insecurity.
The wisdom of insecurity for an age of anxiety.
Whoa,
yeah.
I'm
So
just putting it down.
When did you
right
write
now.
this?
back in the 50s, bitch, like 50.
Damn.
That nigga dead as fuck right now.
He dead as fuck. But he has great lectures on YouTube. They're kind of like hard to follow because like the audio is kind of hella garbage.
I've heard them before,
Yeah, they're so trash.
But the audio is kind of like aesthetic though.
It is hella aesthetic until you have to like go back and like one more time. Like,
It's like shit. Like I know Tim does this. Like he put it in his list, like Blues, the first project. It just sounds like some shit you'd put in a song.
yeah.
Like you'd sample.
Yeah.
He
It just
sounds like a
sounds nice.
sampleable person.
That's the thing, yeah.
But yeah, he's hard to follow
It's
because
okay.
he says like crazy shit.
That's
He's
the
so
thing.
articulate.
So so articulate and very specific with the words he chooses and the way he phrases them to the point that it's so clear that you have to reread it so many times to understand it.
What's it called?
It's called the
Wisdom of Insecurity.
Wisdom of Insecurity. Yeah,
Okay.
fuck. So I have it. I can like lend it to you, and I'm done it for the third time.
Ooh, fire.
I always like reread it whenever I'm like in a weird space because he breaks down everything people. Like as humans, we all fear the same shit. We're not that unique, okay? Like we're all humans at the
We're
end of the day.
all one.
No, only I have anxiety. Okay.
Because we're all one. That's why
That's
we're
what
not
I'm
unique. Because
saying.
we're all the same fucking shit.
We're all the fucking same. I'm like really getting like into this mic. Sorry. But like yeah, so he breaks that shit down in so many different ways. And like the very first chapter, he jumps right into religion. He goes balls deep into religion. Yeah, he's like, I don't give a fuck what any of y'all have to say. Also, this is in the 50s too. Do you know what I mean? So he like yeah, like he went balls deep and he said, atheists, y'all got a good point. Like people who believe in God, you guys both got good points. Y'all believe the same shit. Do you know what I mean? Like it's pretty much what he says. Like you guys are both, those who are so strict on disproving that religion, like God isn't true and religion is false, it becomes almost like their religion and that's their belief,
Yeah,
right?
they're both religions.
Right, and it becomes their security. Like believing that there is no God becomes their security in God, if that makes sense. And the people who believe in a God, that's their security in the fact that like it's okay, like there's a purpose to this shit. Do you know what I mean? To both those people, they're just trying to find purpose in their life, right?
Structure so they can follow it.
Exactly.
Because it's pretty daunting sometimes to accept the reality that there's no meaning, and it's really up to you. Like your potential in life is really up to you to set.
Yeah.
Like the thing you said, like you'll never reach that perfection, and that's why it's so exciting because you can like the climb never stops.
Exactly.
So like the highest you've seen a human being go, you can go higher if you really want to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think just seeing that sometimes people are like kind of scared, and that's why I think a lot of in Christianity when they talk about Jesus like something they can't achieve is because they're setting that cap, because that unknown to them can be so daunting that they're just like, hey, let's set a human being who's the cap of what we can achieve, so that like as like we can't be that, so we have security being shitty humans. We don't really need to be anything as long as we like praise it every Sunday.
Right. You outsource it. It's like, oh, he'll do for me. I don't have to do
Exactly.
anything myself.
Yeah. Exactly. And
God will take care of it.
He'll come back. Jesus will come back. Until then, let's just be pieces of shit.
That's my only beef with religion, man. Like
The
It's
second
like
coming?
you can do it yourself. There's no like you don't have to go to church to access God.
And that's the thing, and it's really funny. You mentioned this earlier too, saying that like everything is God, right? Like don't harm the earth, don't like step on this. That's God. But then that's almost a shared characteristic of most religions, if not every single monotheistic religion at least,
They all
right?
say the
like
same shit.
they all say the same shit, but we don't follow it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like we preach religion and we go around like carrying it on the highest depths we possibly can, and we shit on everything else around us.
And we still sin.
And that's isn't that in itself is a form of sinning. Do you know what I mean?
We sin and we're just like, just apologize after.
Like, sorry,
Just
bro.
ask,
like, do
just
you know what I
ask
mean?
for forgiveness, and
Didn't mean
God
to
will
like
be.
enslave your entire
God will
population.
It's funny because like in religion, in Christianity, you have the original sin.
yeah.
So you're born with it. You're born like you're born a bad person. But in Buddhism, it's flipped. It's like you are whole, and because of all this conditioning, you get that stripped away from yourself.
Yeah.
So in order to
And
get
there's
it back,
a way to get there.
close your eyes, sit down, and just cleanse
and become
purify.
nothing.
Become nothing.
And you know why? You know why you should become nothing? Because nothing is everything. So once you become nothing, you become everything, and you feel whole again. Like that's what I was telling you. That's literally what I felt during that meditation. I meditated like I think, was it Friday? Whatever. It was like last weekend.
Saturday,
and then
Saturday.
I think just 20 minutes into it, I mean, I was so deep that time didn't exist. Like I was literally nothing. And then I just started bawling.
Was it
Holy
after the
shit.
Joe Dispenza one?
Yeah, it was during that. Like I just started fucking bawling my eyes out. Like a bunch of images of people that I know, like
Yeah.
close or not, started like flashing like fast in front of my eyes, like face after face, and I just felt deep connection to all of those faces. Even people that was like, there was my employee last week. It was her last shift, or the shift before her last shift, but she had quit already, so she doesn't have any obligation to the store anymore. Midway through the shift, she just leaves. I was like, why would you do that? You're a piece of shit. And I felt so much anger towards her. And then during that meditation, I just felt so much like not only forgiveness but just understanding.
Right, because you were her at
Like-
that point. It's like why
like-
would she not do that?
That's the thing, right?
Like she doesn't have any like she can do whatever the fuck she wants. Like she can do that. It was probably me being mad that I can't do that myself because I don't have the balls enough to do that shit.
Just say
Yeah.
yourself. It is it. That was it.
Huh?
That was it. Must have been.
Yo, that was probably one of the things, but it was also like we needed her. Like
That's
she
the
would have
thing.
made the difference
Mm.
for that
Right.
close. But it was just like it was like, yeah, a lot of things have led up to her being the way she is. Like her being the type of person to walk out like that and not give a fuck. It's probably not her fault fully. It's like she has her own issues. Like there's shit that people would complain about when it comes to me. Like there's shit that people would get as angry as I was towards her towards me when I do those things. Like oh my God, crazy. She has flaws. So that's what I just felt like. Yeah, she's her own person with her own flaws and her own things that she has to work on. She's around the same age I am. She's gonna do a bunch of dumb shit. It was like instant forgiveness. Didn't even have to think about it. It was just instant. Like she made like it got more intense. Like the crying got more intense because it was someone that it wasn't only people I loved. It was people I was kind of like complaining about, that I was like bitching about during that time. And they came up, and the first thing I felt was not the anger, but love. And it just kept going. And then after that, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Because that's like the purest
That's
form of
powerful.
empathy too, right? It's like you physically could feel the fact that you were like in her shoes and see
Yeah.
what she felt. Because we do that a lot, right? Like everybody's so caught up in what's going on in your own head. We always put everybody else as secondary characters in our own play. Do you know what I mean? Our own movie. And so like to be empathetic, I think it's one of the hardest skills like people have to learn.
I think that and gratitude.
Gratitude, but I think they go hand in hand though,
True.
right? They
Yeah.
go hand in hand because
Yeah.
like in order to like be able to like literally physically and mentally put myself in someone else's shoes and understand and feel what they are, because like you said, we all feel the same shit. We're
Yeah.
all at the end of the day, we're not that fucking unique. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was listening to a podcast, and he mentioned intellectual vices. Really going off, huh?
Oh no, we were just every time because he says this every episode. I was listening to a
Oh,
podcast.
sorry. Yeah,
Just cute
fuck.
to, like,
Yeah.
No, we love background noise.
They're
Fuck
fucking
seagulls, though.
obnoxious. Holy shit.
They sound
That one
so
is
fucking
mad,
horrendous.
too.
They're like my least favorite birds, bro.
But like pigeons go off. I love pigeons.
Like they just look so fucking like weird. They look like they want to fight you all the
This one
time.
does. Damn.
I think that's isn't that a sign that it's gonna rain when they're just like all around?
I think they're hungry.
Is it? Where'd you hear that?
I think you made
I
that
don't
shit
know.
up.
I probably made that shit up. I'm just very scared that it's gonna whatever.
It's
I
fine.
feel like I'll manifest it if I keep saying
That's
it.
the thing. You can't think about that shit, bro. Clear it out of your head. But yeah, no, like, intellectual vices, right? Yeah, podcasting. I'm really bad with like names and like dates, so I just refer to things vaguely as I remember them in my head. Anyway, intellectual vices. So it's like the idea of like, I know you guys have like cognitive intelligence in the sense of like how good you can like problem solve and how well
Yeah.
you do things.
Right.
So like intellectual vices is that, but more your personality trait, right? So it's like, how can you determine what determines the way you think and the things you believe based on your vices and your virtues, right? So like if you're naturally more of a closed-minded person, you're not going to think of things the way other people do.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? You're not going to be as open. Or if you're the complete opposite, you're completely open-minded. Do you
That's
know
why
what I
no
mean?
one experiences the same thing the same way. Like when
That's
you
the
go to the
thing.
movies, everyone sees the movie and everyone watches a different movie
Mhm.
because your experience kind of like who you are as a person determines how you interpret shit.
That's the thing, right? And to like be hyper aware of like your virtues and your vices is the only way I feel like, because like that's something we struggle with a lot. It's like, well, you believe like that's it. I'm fucking right. No one else is right. You can't tell me otherwise. And that's a vice,
Conclusions.
right? That's a vice, right? Because you're closing yourself off from any other opinion based on the fact that you think you know everything.
Yeah.
And so the only way to like fully be, like allow yourself to learn and to see things from other people's perspective, to feel gratitude, to feel empathy, is to understand your own intellectual vices the best you can.
Yeah.
But then to do that, how the fuck do you get to that
Yeah.
point? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
To be like
it's-
hyper aware of yourself and your own thoughts.
To just be like
It's hard, but it's so simple. There's like the answer is meditation, right?
to become nothing. You
Become
let go of
nothing.
everything
Just
that you are.
observe.
Like you, meditation requires that you take space
And you
from.
don't even have to like jump to that point because that's very advanced to the point you are. Just start observing like your breath. Just
yeah.
even if you got mad at a bus driver, just be like, okay, sit down. Did I like why did this happen? Did I
Yeah.
really
It all
need to
it's
be
all just
angry?
it also depends on your state of mind too. That's why when you trip, like no one has the same trip
Right.
because everyone's in a different state of mind when they like do any kind of psychedelic, right?
Mhm.
Like the state of mind that I was in while I was during that meditation probably contributed a lot to what the turnout of it was.
Mm.
Because like doing the same thing today, it felt like I was just normal.
Right, your
Nothing
intent-
happened,
the
right?
intent behind it was
And
completely
it's funny
different.
because like I did that meditation chasing the same feeling, but that's kind of the reason why it will probably not happen. So
Bro, that was exactly my second Vipassana retreat. I was chasing that like the
feeling of the
sensations
first
and-
one.
Yeah.
and you didn't get it. It's all
Yeah.
fucking paradoxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all a bunch of like
That's life.
Bro,
it's
I was just in my kitchen today, right? And then like I was just pouring the water or whatever and I was like, fuck. And I like, you know how water has memory, so like I was just charging it with my own intention.
Okay.
I was like, wow, I'm so grateful. And I was actually so great. Like I was so grateful. I just stood there for like 30, 40 seconds. I was like,
looked at
close
the
my
water.
eyes. My eyes were closed and I got chills all over my body. Like I was just so
Water's
grateful.
the-
Like I almost teared up.
water is the weirdest thing because if you actually observe it, you see how effortless like it is, like as like just being. Like when you pour water from, let's say, like a cup, I mean like
Jar or
a
whatever.
pot, a jar or whatever into a cup or a mug, and to see it just like effortlessly like leave whatever shape it was in before,
Yeah.
and then fall into the other one and then adapt it and embrace that other object's shape that like smoothly. Like it doesn't even think about it. It just kind of flows into it. Like if you see that rock, the water's just effortlessly just going around it. Like it's not
Intrusively.
like it's not trying to like go through the rock. It's just sees a rock and just kind of just goes around it. Like it's it's so fucking and that's why that Bruce Lee quote. That's why that Bruce Lee quote is so cool. It's like it's shapeless. Like if you pour it into a cup, it becomes a cup. If you pour it into a vase, into a like
Yeah.
teacup, it becomes that. And you should be water because you'll adapt. You'll flow around. It just flow,
Yeah.
which is I think is what like I'm chasing
Yeah.
as a being. Like just
Straight presence, right?
being able to just flow, like just a fucking leaf in the wind, just
Yeah.
going wherever it takes you. Of course, like I wouldn't say like have no ambition, but it's just like there's certain control you don't have, and paradoxically enough, when you let go, you kind of get more control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you let go of control, you kind of gain a bit more.
Because then that part of your brain is not stressing out. What can I do to alter
Yeah,
this
survival,
situation?
right? See, like, you're not getting into fight or flight, and I mean that's kind of where the argument Joe Dispenza makes, like where cancer comes from.
Yeah.
It's not a manifestation of your cells and genes like being shitty. It's a manifestation of you, like cause those viruses and the cells and shit, like and all of that like bad shit going on. Oh yeah, fuck, I forgot about that. It's usually they're usually opportunistic.
Okay.
They're just waiting for the opportunity to start spreading, like viruses and shit. Like they need the conditions to be perfect for them to grow.
Yeah.
What creates those conditions? It's the person. That's why a lot of people, when they start developing like diseases, is because it's usually when they're in a shitty place.
I see what you're saying.
And then usually
holding
like we
things in.
spoke about
Yeah.
this, like there's a lot of like testimonials of people getting cancer and then getting, I don't know, X amount of time to live, and then just from having nothing to lose anymore, they just start living their life how they actually want to live it, and just from them being so free, the cancer just goes away. So it's
spontaneous remission, man. Like,
yeah.
fucking Breaking Bad, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just very like there's a whole field of shit that's going on all the time that we're not aware of. And I think the next step, I think, in humanity and just humankind itself is just learning more about that. That's why quantum physics is becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Because now we're trying to get into knowing the shit that we can't see. We figured out the material world. Like we're materially, like we're rich, like we're fine. But now we're like something else.
And the thing
missing.
is, like, even with all this science, numbers don't mean shit until you can experience it yourself.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so you spoke about it like on a very like deeper psychological level beyond the structure of the society we have in place today. So then how would you fit that format and that way of living, which I do agree is like the truest form of living into connection of like your brain and your body and the universe itself. But then we've created such a system that almost doesn't allow for that to exist,
Yeah,
right?
we're stimulus all the time.
Exactly. Way overstimulated.
Everything's backwards.
Yeah, and the
literally.
structure and like such a refined schedule.
This right here doesn't give you energy. It just stresses your body.
Right.
And-
to thinking. Yes.
And
I
stress.
enjoy the
ain't
taste of
good.
coffee.
I mean, it tastes very good, especially with milk.
Very
But
good. Oat milk goes hard. I'm just gonna put that energy out there.
I still haven't like grown. Like it hasn't grown on me. I still like 2%.
Really?
Yeah. I tried
Oh.
almond
Anyways,
milk.
back to more.
Sorry,
Oh yeah,
right.
sorry. sorry. But yeah, I mean we're in a state. Well, I think it's only in the West, only in Western countries and first world countries ish is that a thing. Like there's countries where like meditation practices are normal. Like it's in every household when kids are born. Like their parents do it. It's like it's a practice.
Yeah.
But in a society we live now, it's just like everything is not only fast.
Everything's
but
outside
everything's
of
going on at once. Like everyone,
Yeah,
no one can
outside of you,
sit. Yeah, everything's outside of you.
Yeah.
Like no one can sit still. We're just always looking for something outside of us to
you. You
give
can't
us.
just buy that machine that allows you to sit still.
Yeah, you know, like you want to sit still, you buy something to make you do
Yeah.
it when you could just, I don't know, do it right
down.
now. You know, so and that's what I mean. We're at a point where we've evolved materially so much.
And just sorry, I just want to stop you there. Like, you think you can't do it? Okay, how about you just sit down right now, close your eyes, and set the intention that you're not going to get up until you feel like it's time. Not because, oh, there's my friend, I'm going to go catch him.
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Am I really hungry? Like,
That's the thing.
And
yeah.
just trying to do that, what that'll prove is what we're saying. You'll see how much your mind is used to it, because once you try to sit still, your mind's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Your
Yeah.
whole body's just going to feel uneasy, like, whoa, I'm supposed to be moving. Like, you know when you feel that eagerness to
yeah,
move
the agitation
sometimes?
just, you just
Like,
Yeah,
you feel
yeah,
so
yeah.
agitated. Like, during a meditation when you don't want to meditate, and
Yeah.
you sit down and you're trying to force yourself
It's
to do
almost
it.
like anxious too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
feel like there's like a bunch of like electric spikes
Ants
going
in
through
your
your body.
and all that anxiety, all that is I want to be done. I want to be done with right now. I
Yeah,
want the future to arrive
exactly.
so I can get out of
You're
here
resisting
right
the now,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking, God damn.
But I feel like even like with like the way you mentioned the West too, but I feel like even in other places of the world, we impose the way we think our lifestyle should be onto them, to the point where like some people can't have the time to meditate, and not even just because
Yeah.
like they can't, but because of the way we impose our lifestyles and the way our structure is set up on the rest of the world, that affects them in so many ways that like they can't
Yeah.
focus. They have to
Yeah,
focus on the
all-
essential
it's
survival.
fucked.
It's
Like,
so
A lot of them,
fucked.
In Nepal,
a
like-
lot of them probably feel like they have to be like the Western countries now.
Yeah, it's a
And-
standard.
And not even that, but like in Nepal, before the war on drugs, you can get weed, you can get psychedelics like You can just get it. It's
Yeah.
not illegal. But then after the war on drugs, that shit's illicit.
that-
You
impose
cannot
that
be caught
mentality.
with it, or else you go to prison.
Yeah.
And they have to abide with those laws, because if you don't, bye trade agreement.
That's the thing, right? And that's where
Yeah.
they get you. It's like everything is so like intertwined now
Yeah.
with the standard of the West, and it's so fucked up. Because like you said, it's like, who the fuck gives a shit about these drugs? Like since when? Do you know what I mean? And like we exploit the other groups of people who are not like alike with the West, and it just fucks off the entire balance of the world. And so now we're fucked up, and we're trying to
And
reach.
yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like. Yo.
But it's
Let's-
our responsibility. Oh, it's such a big responsibility. I'm so happy that it's ours, like, to take.
Yeah.
Let's end it with this. What do you? Okay, so we've had whatever the cognitive revolution when humans started being able to become aware of like self-awareness.
Yeah.
When we developed self-awareness. Next was agricultural revolution. We're no longer hunter-gatherers. We're in agriculture. We're living in
Cities.
homes. We'll have cities, villages, all that shit. We're living in communities. Okay, next industrial revolution,
Industrial.
technology, boom. Like we have trains, we have phones, we have which is what I feel like we're living around the end.
Oh, it's.
I
I think,
Mark said
I
it,
think
baby.
it's done. I think like technological revolution and like Internet of Things.
The next one, do you think is the spiritual revolution?
I think spiritual revolution started way back.
Yeah, but
I think, but now, access to information is such that like you cannot, like people don't trust the news. Like Donald Trump is president, so
Yeah.
you literally cannot trust people in power.
Yeah.
So who do you go to? You go to podcasts. You go to doctors who study this shit for years, and they're putting out their content for free to heal other people.
I mean,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan probably gets more views than the news does
easy,
now.
No,
easy.
Like
100%,
5 mil,
yeah.
to 11 mil. Like you have billionaires
And-
able to just you have the access to a billionaire's mind now at
Yeah.
at your
They're
fingertip.
just a
like-
fly in the room, and they're just talking.
Because propaganda
It's
is that
free.
much harder, right? So like no one's
And
watching the
easier.
fucking it's and easier.
Way
But
easier.
it's also like we can choose the information we have access
Yeah.
to and access all of it. It just matters how hard you're
Right.
willing to
and
try.
it all goes back to trust. Like, why did our parents trust the news back then? Because
That's the thing.
it was on TV.
It was official.
There was authority, so
Appeal
there
to-
must have
appeal
been
to authority. Yeah.
appeal to authority. But
Yeah.
now it's like, why do we trust in the first place? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, why do I trust Paul Chek? Right? Because he's treated hundreds of people, healed hundreds of people, so he has report just to the universe.
And it's innate
I
sense
trust him.
of detecting bullshit that we all
Yes.
have.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go off when you listen to it. It doesn't sound like he's trying to sell you anything. It's just like here's all this information.
Total coherence.
But I
in his
like
message.
you can come to my program if you want like firsthand experience like from me, but here's all of this information that even if you're not around, like even if you can't come to the program,
Yeah.
I can still give you enough that you can evolve yourself as a human being
use
still.
use it for yourself.
This
So-
guy, bro, he
We'll
he
send
has
you we'll send you a
five-
podcast from him.
5
Up
series.
for it.
Just each one's like 2 hours long. How to evolve yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and your career. It's free. Just
And he
Holy
just
shit.
and he actually goes like in detail like and it's not conventional in terms of not shit you've already like known, like when you're
Yeah.
looking up like physical, like how to get better in shape physically. Oh yeah, just start going to the gym 3 times a week and then build a routine. But like he actually tells you like your body's made up of these elements, like your body's this and that. There's a state when your body's like resting and regenerating. There's a state when it's burning energy. And he breaks it down to you to the point where you understand now why you have to go to the gym 3 times a
And you
week.
can literally tune in and choose. It's up to you now. You don't have to go to a doctor to get a pill to fix yourself.
shit,
It's
yeah.
all within you.
It's
Yeah.
crazy because a lot of people who were born before this information age talk like, oh my God, if I had access to these things, to this like all this information when I was your age, I would have been deadly. Because they have more control over it because they weren't born with it, so they have less bias, right? So they see it more as a tool than the person was born into it. Now that we're born in an information age, like we kind of just use it as a
Right? We're already
like a
acclimated to
distraction.
it.
Like we're watching like self-help videos, binge watching self-help videos, and
we're
not
to
doing
the point
anything.
where it's not going in our brain anymore.
It's just purely entertainment.
You're just like watching. Yeah, you're watching.
Yeah.
You're consuming information for entertainment.
Yeah.
Instead of actually as a tool to get you.
To
Like
learn.
you're consuming, learning, and not doing
There's no
anything.
integration.
It's just a bunch of knowledge with no wisdom.
Yeah.
That's why silence is so important, man. Like yes, there's many ways of meditation. Like it's literally just tuning into the present, but I also think like just silence is very important
Yeah.
because
That's why it's so daunting and uncomfortable.
And when you're silent, like there's no stimulus, so your body is literally just integrating everything you're learning.
Like when you're having a conversation with someone and there's that silence that falls, you're like, oh fuck.
You
feel like there's supposed to be something.
Yeah, something should be said.
Like you can't just have nothing. You can't just sit. That's why I feel like you're not comfortable. You're not actually someone's like friend or like comfortable with someone until you guys can sit together in silence.
Yeah, 100%.
Because then you don't you're comfortable just not having to feel like you need to fix.
Conversation happens without like verbally. You know what I mean?
Because then when you start to try to fill it up, it sounds awkward.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, forced. It's not organic. It's like, so like, what did you do today for the 5th time?
That's there's a book on silence. I cannot tell you the name or the title. But it's about silence. I'm so sorry. But anyway, there's a chapter.
Find it.
It's a chapter, and it was called "Everybody Should Visit Antarctica at least once, just not at the same time." And it's and it's to just like you said, achieve that silence and that like being alone and to allow yourself to be like with nothing.
Still.
What the fuck are you gonna do in Antarctica? Do you know what I mean? And this the author spent 60 days just trekking across Antarctica with everything on their back. Yeah, and he's like, there was moments where I laid down and I was like, I was gonna die.
That's why a lot of people do like silence vows too. Like there's people who go like a year or two without speaking. Yeah, I saw a video on YouTube. It was this guy breaking my year-long vow of silence, and he just started speaking. And it's just like,
how was his voice?
It sounded normal. Like it didn't even sound weird. It was kind of like,
after
hey.
After the 10 days of the Vipassana, my language is fucked. Like, I couldn't like put my words together.
Because like they're all made up, right? So
damn.
So it's just like you're getting back into. It's kind of like getting back into the Matrix. You were out of it, and then you're kind of back in, and you're like, oh shit, yeah.
Bro, literally like going to that meditation retreat. I was in a different dimension, man. People were so much nicer. There was
the collective energy too, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
well, because you're all there for the same reason, right?
Yeah, and you can probably just feel
everyone's heart,
going towards that same like going towards that same goal. Like everyone's like they all have some shit that they know that they want to fix or some shit they want to learn about themselves, and you're all doing that collectively, and it probably feels amazing.
And back to the collective thing. I was listening to another podcast where he was talking about, it was Paul Chek. He's talking about how your heart has a field around it. And that field, like if you're in my field right now, my heart
real quick, isn't there an argument that your heart has more electromagnetic fields than your brain?
Yeah,
than your mind,
I think so.
Shit?
And your gut also has influence over that.
Your chakras, baby.
And he was saying like your heart creates a field around it. So you're in my field right now. So whatever frequency my heart is resonating in, you also catch on to that, and I also catch on to yours. I catch on to yours, and like in certain moments, that can expand to like 100 meters. So anybody in that range is being influenced by you, and you're being influenced by them. So you can just feel.
Because we're all one.
Like there's no explaining it, but you can just feel.
Being an empath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an unknown, but I'm really pushing myself and everyone around me towards a spiritual revolution.
Me too.
Because
it's so hard too, man. Some people don't want to listen.
Everything outside of us is evolving faster than us. And that's the whole AI thing. Like, we're going to create something that's so much more evolved than us that it's going to take over, and we won't be evolved enough to even be able to resist it. Maybe that's the natural order of things, and that's what's meant to happen.
How we're going to end, yeah.
But, like, we're aware, so we can probably go the other way.
Yeah.
I think we're going to enter it as like a state of emergency. Like you said, the spiritual revolution been happening, and it's been a thing to us, not really like in the West.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're now entering it, like you said, with access to like technology and information.
Everyone's having existential crises now.
Exactly. And it's like, what the fuck? Where is our world going? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like we're entering it, unfortunately, because of the state of the world we're in now. But at least it comes from something rather than nothing. Do you know what I mean? So I do think it's coming out of like the state of emergency that we're putting ourselves in.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we always get into like shitty places where it seems like everything's gonna go to hell. I mean, we're into two moments of the entire world fucking trying to kill each other, right? Like that probably felt like the end of the world in a way.
Yeah.
but it didn't happen, and now we're all interconnected, and a world war is almost impossible because we all depend on each other so much.
That's the thing.
Like if one country goes out, like it's probably gonna affect like other countries so much more now because we're all like working together.
No more AliExpress.
So it's just a bunch of cold wars happening. Like, hey, like I'm gonna steal your data. You're gonna be scared because I have your data. Oh shit, we have all of these nukes here. So watch yourself.
That's the thing, right? We can end the world like right now if we really want
100%,
to.
100%.
Yeah.
Like if you want to, you could just be out.
Fuck it.
You're like, fuck
Bitch,
it.
yeah.
But we're not, because I guess survival, or just maybe it's not meant to happen. Maybe the fact that we have it is the reason why it's not happening. Because we're like, we've evolved to the point where we can make ourselves go extinct.
Yeah.
We can
But it
choose
doesn't even have
to
to
go
be
extinct.
like matter. It doesn't even have to be that like matter is ending, like the end of the world, the outside world. Like it could easily be, and it feels like just the collective the old consciousness is dying out.
Yeah.
It's like people doesn't serve people anymore. It's like there's no way to grow from it anymore. So now people are waking up. That's what it feels like is happening.
I agree. I'm gonna agree with that statement. But then when you look at the people that are governing us,
Right.
and the system we're forcibly under, that's the thing too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like what happens with the systems we've had in place for the past hundreds of years? Like what goes to that?
When do those get
we overthrow that
replaced?
shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like
how does that get replaced,
I
right?
feel like
Because it still
How do you
feels like
integrate
it's ancient.
spirituality into politics?
that's the thing.
That almost sounds impossible.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Like a spiritually aligned.
It's like, nah, let's choose
President,
this spiritual
bro.
one. Let's choose this religion. No,
It's almost
this
as if like people wouldn't even want to vote for that. Like what would a spiritually aligned like politician sound like? Like let's just love.
The Dalai
Yeah.
Lama.
It's not about let's be the most powerful country, because like all countries have their own egos. They're kind of their own entities, and cities themselves have their own egos. Like
well, that's what they thrive,
we want to
right?
be the strongest.
Yeah.
Like Americans now, like I'm an American. That's a statement that people make now to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Oh wait, like I'm depressed, but like I'm an American.
I'm a fucking American.
I live in America, the most powerful country in the world, and
Land
it's
of
like
the
you
free.
get like a sense of security out of just knowing that your country is has the most of this imaginary thing.
But then like that also feeds into like the way people used to view religion, right? It's a sense of security.
I'm
So, like,
Christian.
I'm fucking Christian. I'm fucking American. Like, what the fuck you gonna do about it?
Go
and
to
so,
war, right?
Right,
Just
exactly.
Over your own belief, yeah.
That's the thing. So it's almost becoming like a religious like belief in your nationality and like the nation you are from, which holds no ground. At the end of the day, we're all on the same fucking earth, and just because you're exploiting the rest of it doesn't mean you're any different. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't think it's about making politics spiritual. It's about changing what our politics is in the first place, and like there are systems of governance, like but beyond even just like integrating like spirituality into what we have now. It's about changing what the system we have now, because it's not gonna fucking work.
But it's all a paradox. Yeah, paradox because
democracy
to get
crazy
out of
demonstration of praise. Crazy demonstration.
Wow.
Fela Kuti.
Wow.
Fela Nicolas Kuti, yeah?
Yeah. Listen to wise music, huh? Fuck Young Thug. But it's all a paradox because to get out of the program, you need to invent a program, but then you're going to fall victim to that program.
Yeah.
And you need to get out of that new program.
At least that program's faster than the other.
Yeah,
Anarchy,
but then to get out of that one, you're going to have to invent a new one.
Right.
And you're going to fall victim to that one.
Solutions create new problems.
Not to spread propaganda, but like anarchy could work.
What is anarchy?
Could work. Anarchy is. I'm gonna butcher this, but having anarchy as a system, it's like less of a form of governance.
Yeah.
But rather like we have all the shared goal. Well, no, because like it's a system of governance, right? Anarchism, it's a system. It's an actual system of governance. And so instead of having like one person or one group of people govern everybody, we all as individuals have the collective goal of governing each other. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, okay, I'm voting for this guy to make my decisions for me. It's like, hold up, like we are all impacted by this. We all have to work together and figure out a system to make it work without having like a pyramid almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it is an actual system. There's like a lot of politicians and like political theorists who like speak on it, and it's really, really interesting to look into. Will it ever work? Do you know what I mean? But like, no, it's definitely a system beyond just having like the chaos or like the anarchy in the sense of we think of like a zombie apocalypse. Do you know what I mean? But that's the thing, right? Because we put so much faith in the people we elect and the people we put into, but we're only given those options. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we had to pick between, like Americans had to pick between like
Right.
Hillary or Trump. Like what the fuck you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, them niggas hit rock bottom.
hell yeah. Hell
Fuck,
yeah.
that's crazy. I wonder what's gonna happen next.
Oh, elections
But that was
coming
kind
up,
of that was kind of a like a paradigm break though, because I mean, if that nigga can be president, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
like who would have ever thought
Hmm.
like I mean, the entire time he was running, like everyone was making fun of him, and not
Mhm.
taking him seriously.
No one took it seriously whatsoever.
But I still believe that there's just a reflection of where the country was,
Mm-hmm.
and not only because I don't know was it a podcast or a video? Someone said it's also because not only from like America being like just shitty,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just the people who voted, who were a representation of who
Mm.
like he was a symbol of the people who voted.
Yeah.
But there's also the laziness of the time too,
Mm-hmm.
of people not taking voting seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
The
And
indifference.
this being the byproduct of what happens when you don't take matters into your own hand, when
Yeah.
you just want to sit home instead of going to register
Yeah.
and actually like because that's one of the only ways for you to like affect government
Exactly.
and your like your country.
Mhm.
Like it's who's gonna like you're choosing a leader for the
Mhm.
place you live in, who's gonna make the rules and
Yeah.
probably be the end or the flourishment of wherever you live.
But we also have to take into consideration who can vote and who has access to voting. Because I
Yeah,
know that's
true.
a huge issue in the States where people are like, it's literally segregated by communities, saying like the voting stations in certain communities they can't access them, or they're set up so poorly that people are waiting
Yeah,
hours and
it's
hours.
still very flawed.
Right? So it's
Still
like
very
if
flawed.
somebody's working like 2 jobs, when the fuck, and the voting, what time did they close at? Like 7 or like
Yeah.
5? When the fuck is someone getting to the voting station? And when the line is outside the window, like all the way down the street and nobody's like facilitating it,
I think
when are people going to vote?
there are still ways you can vote, because I know in Canada you can have a special ballot mailed to you.
Yeah.
And
Or
you can
early
just-
voting and shit.
yeah.
For sure. But it's like who's giving them that information?
Right.
Not to say like, I think a lot of injustices was done on like American people to like take the initiative, go vote yourself. But at the same time, it's like, where's that access to information?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, another paradox, information's everywhere. You can access
Yeah.
it no matter where you go. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Don't have internet at home?
It's
There's
everywhere.
a library somewhere.
It's everywhere, but that's kind of why it's hard to find it
Mhm.
because it's everywhere. Like everyone's throwing their ideas and opinions
That's
at
the
you
thing.
and their beliefs and
Yeah.
hey, here's this, here's that.
Which I think what made Donald Trump so like relatable to a lot of people. It's because his opinions are very simple. Do you know what I mean? Like
Everything is shit.
he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have intrinsic plans or like beliefs or ideas about anything. But people were so easy to relate to him because he said such crazy shit that people were like
He rubbed their egos.
100%,
It's like-
and he provoked fear.
Make America great again.
Exactly, and he said shit that people were like, I can't say that, but like he's saying that shit. Fuck
But
it.
I agree.
That's it. I fucking agree. Yeah, and so it feeds
Yeah.
like. White nationalism was there before Trump was elected. Why is it only peaking now? It's because people are now feeling comfortable enough to be like, fuck that. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
white nationalist. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I think it's everything in its right place. I think like they probably needed Trump. Like they probably needed that space in history
Yeah.
so that they can look back on it and be like, yeah,
It's
that
already
actually,
been 4 years, huh?
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
yeah.
It's wild.
Elections, man, next year.
We have our elections this
Yeah,
October.
Oh, we
Register
do,
to vote.
bro. I'm not.
Brother, come on. We just had this
I don't know who to vote
I'm
for.
so
It's like-
fucking
That's the
busy, bro. I
thing.
don't even know what's going on. I didn't even know that was going on.
Yeah,
Like
this October.
I didn't even know.
Get researching, baby. It was handing out pamphlets and
But
shit.
I'm starting school and I already have like editing to do and oh,
That's the thing. That's
fuck
the
it.
thing.
I'll wait until I'm like 20. It doesn't.
You-
Actually, I'll be 20. Fuck.
Yeah.
You better be voting. Like, that shit.
man.
You just said, bro, it's in the matter. It's in your hands.
Yeah.
This election's in your hands,
Fuck, I
bro.
gotta-
Still easy.
There's a
gotta
reason
take
why we're stuck.
responsibility now.
We're stuck with Doug. Did you vote in the Ontario election?
Fuck no.
The last one?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
I don't think
you-
he was old enough to vote.
Oh, okay. You have to be 18, no?
Yeah.
That was in last year.
Oh, the Ontario, like, that was last year. No, I didn't vote for that.
Bro,
I
but
didn't even know.
bro, that's why Doug Ford's in power. Like that's why we have Doug Ford right now. So
I don't
nobody
even know who that
fucking.
nigga is.
He's the one cutting your OSAP, baby. Like that's why we can't afford.
I live in Quebec.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You
can't
don't get
afford.
I get Quebec OSAP.
Close
Whoa,
up.
fuck you. OSAP. It's like
I mean, it's probably the same thing. It's probably worse. I don't know. Like those,
I'm
like
not
when it
sure.
comes to politics, I'm so uninformed. I should definitely get into it. I
Yeah.
feel like it's very
fucking
interesting.
No, it's not. I was like,
No, it's fully interesting because it's shit.
it's so fucking
Yeah.
garbage. I'm in like I'm in politics, I'm in policy management, public affairs, I'm policy management. Everybody fucking hates Papham, but anyway, it's fine. And so like going into it, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna fucking change the world, like policy, baby.
I mean, that's
like,
probably why you hate it, because it's probably slower than you expected.
slower. It's like draining mentally, and I think I
Yikes.
it's fucking garbage. Like the shit you talk about and you deal with, and like having your expectations like, bro, shattered. You know what I mean? Like thinking that you have the power to do anything, and then watching that just like crumble in front of you is
Dude.
so belittling.
Dude, when you think about it, dude, disappointment doesn't exist. Like if you don't have expectations.
I had this one high school teacher. He was
That
like,
tattooed.
your opinion doesn't matter. Like, you could write this essay, but it's shit. Like, it's not up to par university standards. Yeah. What an asshole, bro.
That's all you wanted to say.
That's it. There's
all
no
you
point. There's no argument.
She didn't even give you, like, she's
my
like,
point.
write this essay, but it means nothing.
Yeah,
So
that's
here you
not
go.
that's not a very inspiring way to teach.
No.
But anyways,
yeah.
guys, I'm sorry, but this camera's dying, and
Sorry, camera.
it's been an hour, guys. Like that's fucking crazy.
It didn't rain.
And it didn't rain. Yay.
Manifested it. It's all
Imagine
there,
it starts
baby.
raining when we're done.
Manifest.
Align your chakras.
Thank you, Valerian.
Valerian.
Oh,
Or just
Valerian.
Nardin. Nardin works too.
I don't know. I kind of
Like
like.
Valerian?
Yeah. It
Valley,
sounds.
baby.
It sounds. I'm gonna call you Valley.
Call me Valley. I
Okay.
do Valley.
Cool.
So,
Valley.
give us money.
Valley.
Vote
Vote.
for God.
Yeah.
Vote for me to be God for the next God election.
They can't vote for you to be
Why not?
God. You wanna know why?
Why? Because they are God?
Because you already are God.
Yeah, that's the punchline.
But I mean, like, God for everyone. Like the one in
Oh,
the
the
book.
God?
Yeah, like the one in the book.
So you wanna
be-
I want
okay.
to be, like,
Wait, is Jesus God?
Can you wanna say anything?
he's the son of God.
I'm gonna bring this very close to your face.
Oh my God, that's like really.
Okay,
He's
what
the
do you?
son of God, so I think like he's like half God. Because
I don't get it because
the
then people say
mom
Jesus is
was
God, but then
not.
who the fuck made Jesus and who the fuck made God?
Father, obviously the Father did.
And isn't it? Who's the third one? There's the Holy Ghost.
Oh yeah, the
That's a good good song by
No,
fucking
it's a
the
good
Holy
triangle.
Ghost. No, there's a track called Holy Ghost
A$AP
goes hard in the
Rocky.
paint. No, not A$AP Rocky. Fuck.
Oh.
What's that band called? Oh, this is embarrassing. Damn.
Closing statements.
Closing statements. Align your chakras and go meditate.
Woo! Give us money, please.
Give us money.
Give us money. You're the second coming of Jesus.
You have such crap.